there, welcome to another episode looking at the concepts of photography with me, Gabriel Leung. If you're new here, this is a channel that I try to do a mentorship style approach where we break down vocabularies in the field of art and design in relation to photography. And if you're also a videographer, this is also super helpful to you. So today we'll be looking at the idea of anticipation, super important and super useful for anyone. So if you're interested, let's dive deep into it. Anticipation is the idea of waiting for something and capturing it. Anticipation is the expectation of something that is going to happen, knowing that it will happen as a chain reaction signified by something else. Anticipation is the whole basket of ideas between knowing, expecting, waiting, capturing, showing, and also sometimes not showing. How can the power of anticipation improve our photography? Again, 3 main foundational tips and a +1 tips just to elevate you a bit further. So tip number 1, performance. First of all, you have to recognize what you are capturing as your main subject. A lot of times when we utilize the idea of anticipation is to apply for something that is moving or in the state of change. I would define as a performative act, something that has a performative element to it. Now that could be a sport event, a moving object, or even a natural phenomenon. Think of capturing a time lapse of nature. It's constantly changing. Now how do you anticipate for something and be prepared for it to shoot? So learning the science of the performance and the rules of nature will help you just to get a bit ahead of the game. If you are at a sporting event and you see someone's about to score a goal, you know what kind of expression they're gonna get. Or if you see a car accelerating in a straight line and then about to turn into the first turn, you know where to go. You see a bride waiting to enter into a chapel. Anticipation highly affects where you want to stand, how you want to compose your shot, where the direction of the light you want to be have your subject in, and also when ultimately to press the shutter. Tip number 2 and 3 is more about the perception of the viewer. Tip number 2, prior knowledge. It's about knowing what people know. What does that really mean? For any photographer, the best image is not exactly the image you think you have captured the most beautiful in your mind. The best image is actually capturing what resonates with other people, what others find beautiful, and capturing that in a new way. So based on your own knowledge, your experience, and your memory, you can actually anticipate what others might know and what kind of memory they might have and how they might react to your work. The colors, the subject matter, the kind of symbols that you have, what kind of cultural background your viewers are coming from, what kind of historic background they might have. The more prior knowledge you know or you can assume or you try to research and find out, the better you will actually know how to present your work and connect with the viewer. If we take that just a step forward, a wedding for example. Now if you've seen wedding photos so many times, you've been to so many weddings, you have kind of gotten used to the certain images you see. You kind of know what exactly you need to capture, and you just kind of go through the book. I have these lists of shots and I have to get them, so I make sure I'm in position to get them. And you deliver your work, and nobody's gonna question it. You won't go wrong, but you won't give them any surprises as well. So on the flip side of the coin is the more familiar the kind of images people know or have seen, the better you can actually push your creativity, and the better you can actually push in terms of abstraction, how little you are showing and how much you are actually hiding from the scene in order to increase the aesthetic you want to present as well. So the kind of situation where people are very familiar with, you can actually push creativity even further. Tip number 3, teasing. Now, teasing is also an idea focusing on the perception of the viewer. It is about revealing through concealing. Now, for situations where people are very familiar with or scenes that they have seen so many times, they have the ability to actually complete the story without seeing the whole. If you have that anticipation, knowing what they know as your prior knowledge, you can actually take advantage of that. Now, one way of taking advantage of it is to actually hide the climax of a scene or a situation or a story by showing the moment before that, the moment before the kiss for the bride, the moment before scoring a goal or getting to the finishing line, or even cutting off the subject with the edge of the frame, concealing part of the story, concealing the climax. It actually teases the viewer to actively think about what is going to happen, what might happen, or what has happened. Now think of this as also a trailer of a movie in comparison to the full-length feature film. A lot of times trailers are actually edited and ends at a pretty high point and it just cuts off. So that obviously teases the viewer. Now the viewer has seen so many movies and they might have a way of completing the story with their imagination, but they couldn't see it. So they might be wrong, they might be right, who knows? If they want to find out, they would have to go to the theater. So here's the +1 tip, is to learn the game. Anticipation is, as you have heard, about knowing and not knowing. So you either have it in your bag or you don't. Now you don't have to know the physics of gravity, but at least you have to know that gravity exists and how it behaves. You have seen it in your memory and with your experience, that you know where to stand to catch a ball while it's falling. Do your homework to check the sunset time and know that you won't miss the twilight. This also applies where to get into position, not to get into people's way when you're trying to capture a certain shot. Now the list just goes on, but you just have to make sure that you practice and practice and practice. You learn the game, do your homework, the science of the performance, the nature of a natural phenomenon, and just practice like you would with any kind of sport. So here's a take-home tip for you, is to sharpen your EyeQ. Now that's a little play of word there, but to make use of anticipation, a lot of times we need a wide vision of our surroundings to know certain position, physical position of where things are, and also in terms of time and duration when something might possibly be happening. So when we shoot, a lot of times we use our dominant eye to look through the viewfinder. We need to focus, we need to compose. Now, if you open the other eye, we can actually see a lot of other things happening, a much wider vision. So what I would suggest is to practice to switch between the two modes with your eyes so that you can actually focus, compose, and also know what is affecting your shots and what will happen, and so time for those as well. Now if you're looking through your screen and not through your viewfinder, you're basically switching between looking down and looking around. So sharpening your EyeQ and know your surroundings. Quick recap on the 3 main tips on anticipation, and that is performance, prior knowledge, and teasing. So now you have got the idea of anticipation in your bag, you can go out there and anticipate for something to happen. Now I would suggest to go to a traffic junction that you have never been and start to capture your shots. Switch between people, car, and buildings as your main subject, and notice how different things have different flow. And be aware of your brain, it will start to slowly pick up on the pattern of the flow of elements within your frame, how the traffic lights will affect different elements at different time going by. And if you miss something, your brain will kind of silently tell itself that it will happen again, but it just have to wait. And the more time you spend within that junction, the slowly and the better control you will be able to capture your shots. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and comment down below to let me know what type of photography you can apply this concept on. I'll be very curious to know. If you want to support this channel, be sure to like and subscribe, and also hit that bell button so you will be notified. And also you can follow me on Instagram, that is gabrielleung.jpg, gabrielleung.jpg, to get periodic inspirations and updates. So thanks for watching, and that's it for now. I will be sure to see you in the next one. See you later.